Hello, everyone. I am delighted to welcome Tabby and Eoin from the ITF, who will be sharing how they have transformed their archive into a strategic digital asset. And Tabby, Eoin, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the ITF?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Tabby or Tabitha, whichever you prefer. I am the broadcast operations project lead, so I'm working operations and their media assets as well.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eoin, and I look after the international media rights for the Davis Cup.
So a little overview on what the ITF is. It's the governing body of world tennis world tennis, wheelchair and beach, which was founded in 1913 and comprises of around 213 national associations.
Yeah, so really the core functions of the ITF is really to govern all the rules of tennis, make sure all the equipment is uniform, and to oversee over 60,000 tennis matches per year across all the tours, from our World Tennis Tour, Juniors, Beach, Wheelchair, up into the Davis Cup.
Thank you both. So what were the drivers to get the ITF archive digitised, and what challenges did you face during the process?
So the main reason was we had thousands of assets in storage, almost collecting dust, going back to the 1940s. So obviously something needed to be done with that. And even something as simple as damage or loss, such as a fire, that means those tapes are gone. So we needed to look at how we could store those, digitally. And then we looked to digitize them, do the big project that it is, and explore how, they can be kept safely, and then how we can use them commercially. Obviously, had a slight setback with COVID, obviously because the company that digitizes the products or the assets is called Digitised Media, and they do it minute by minute. So it's obviously very time-consuming. Tennis, you never know how long it's going to be. So that was a little bit of a setback, but there was a bit of an overview on that.
Sorry, Tabby, just to not cut across you, but we've seen obviously there are other major bodies in the world of tennis who have a strong archive as well, so it's more to kind of bring the ITF's archive in line with the ATP, the WTA, and kind of bring the ITF and all of its content kind of into the 21st century and make it available to our associations and third parties as well.
Thank you both. And how did Imagen help you align with the vision that you had for digitising the archive?
Well, obviously, we needed a platform for these assets to be stored, and on this platform now we have over 18,500 records, 14.5 are video with over 760 terabytes worth of footage. So Imagen really helped us facilitate the place to store them, both so then it's visible to even just a Google finding these footage, from the day-to-day tennis fan to then obviously exploring the commercial usage of them.
And yeah, I guess further to that, I think, actually one of our colleagues told a good story about helping his mother move house the other day, and he said she had around 100 CDs, but didn't have a CD player, so he was like, okay, what is the point of having these, right? And it was similar to us, right? We had all these pieces of archive sitting in the basement of our building, and we weren't using them, and to Tabby's point earlier, a fire or kind of a flood or something could wipe all this piece of content, 18,000 hours of footage that were just gone. So I think it was really important for us to contact Imagen and work with VDM to get this piece of content digitalized, to make sure that, they're there for basically the future, right? To make sure that all generations, people growing up, can see how tennis was played in the 40s, the history of the Davis Cup, as well as the Billie Jean King Cup, right? And make sure there was one place for everyone to access all these pieces of content.
Thank you. And now you've digitized the content, has this enabled you to unlock any new commercial avenues, any new creative avenues based on the content you found, maybe older content of players that are out there that may be interested to spread the ITF content?
Yeah, massively. I think it's kind of a twofold answer to that. Firstly, externally. So since 2018, we've been working with Pitch International, who are our archive sales partner. It was really important to bring a kind of trusted sales agent on board to help us kind of monetize the product, and obviously having it there, ready to use, accessible, transformed our product, really. I think we've seen revenue grow by fivefold since that year, since 2017. Having it all in one place, having it stored cleanly, making sure, obviously, Pitch know the platform and the product very well. I think it's kind of gone in part with the kind of proliferation of non-live content. Since COVID, I mean, obviously everyone knows Drive to Survive, and then you had The Last Dance as well on Netflix. Tennis obviously wanted to tell its own story. We had Breakpoint. Now we've had the documentary about Alcaraz. There's obviously been a lot of historical moments in the Davis Cup or outside the Davis Cup, which broadcasters, individuals want to tell that story, and having our archive accessible to them was really important. So, I mean, that's a massive kind of revenue stream for us now. And then internally, we can utilize the archive across all our social platforms. So I think what the other speakers were talking about relevance, how we win as a rights holder. I think due to the sporadic nature of our competition, I don't know how, hopefully everyone is very familiar with the Davis Cup, but most of our matches take place in January, then September, and then November. So it's having that kind of, there's a slight disconnect across the calendar. Tennis is incredibly fragmented, constant events going on, a kind of battle for relevance and kind of awareness across this. And I think having that archive in place, anytime there's a moment or players' success, I think Alcaraz and Coco Gauff recently winning the French Open gives us an opportunity to kind of dip into our archive and say, hey, look, this is not the first time they've won a big event on clay. They actually won their junior Davis Cup and Billie Jean King Cup equivalent on the clay. I think our events normally take place in Turkey. So then it's like putting those content or pieces of content out, monetizing those clips, driving audience to all our platforms, effectively off the back of other events taking place, but that's, I guess, the nature of the Davis Cup. All other events do the same. And I think archive as a whole, we've seen recently Infront purchasing the IOC archive. I mean, it's an important or really important revenue piece of a rights holder. So that's why we wanted to invest in it, make sure that we look after it properly, that now, as I touched on, with third parties getting more involved in creating their own content, if someone messages us or Pitch International and be like, hey, I want to make, a 10-year anniversary piece on first time Argentina won the Davis Cup, we're able to facilitate that and, drive awareness for the competition while doing that, and also bringing in revenue for the ITF.
And I can imagine the importance is to have the content available quickly, to get it out quickly, so it doesn't miss those moments. So as you mentioned with the recent win at the French Open, you want your social media content to be available to me on the social media platforms as quickly as possible, so you have the ability to search. Yeah, massively. In lots of different formats to get the content.
And even with Nadal retiring last year, obviously we had a lot of his matches footage, and there was an influx of people wanting that because it's his last time playing. So even things like that we can facilitate, and we have an awful lot of things for people to see. So we probably will have it, even if it's like a random thing that they think we might not. But we also work with the national associations who can then give us their footage as well from other smaller events, should we want to put it on there, if we can find commercial use for it.
No, great, and it's very important we've got so much new content, but to keep the history and everyone to understand where the Davis Cup came from. You've got all that content available to access quickly, and to continue with the stories that are being created and match it with the history that you've got available. That I think it goes, as you say, back to 1920.
We think the oldest one's maybe 1939 or 1940.
So yes,
it's wild.
It's a long history, and we want to make sure that gets out there to continue to tell the story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great.
Great. Well, thank you both for joining me on here today. Great.
Thank you.